Thank you very much, Ahmed, distinguished guest, Your Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends. Good morning. First of all, I also want to thank all of you for organizing this conference. This is a very timely initiative as we increasingly struggle with the grappling consequences of new developments and new technologies that are not only impacting our lives, our societies, including in the area of counterterrorism. New technologies are advancing at a pace we have not seen before, both for better and for worse. As a wide breadth of new technologies become available for legitimate use by individuals, companies, and governments, there is an increased risk that terrorist groups might exploit some of them for their own aims too. We need to act on two fronts. First of all, understanding how terrorists can or do use them and adopt new technologies to better anticipate and react to terrorist or violent extremist activities. In other words, it's extremely important that we do stay ahead of the curve. It is a matter of time before terrorists discover the opportunities offered by inter alia cloud labs, drones, and other forms of disruptive tech. Terrorists and criminals have already used 3D printing to acquire weapons. As you know, extremist violent ideologies have no borders. They spread across countries and regions, reach vulnerable groups or individuals, and then exploit unstable and permissive environments. Transnational activities of terrorist groups are multidimensional, and to prevent and counter those, a broad array of actions are required. I also want to highlight that the grievances and frustrations that fuel existing terrorist and violent extremist ideologies will evolve, and so will emerging technologies. We can no longer assume that terrorists operate with relatively low technologies. And this is why the EU decided to fund a dedicated project in this area, CT Tech. CT Tech works with law enforcement and criminal justice authorities of interested partner countries around the world to counter the exploitation of new and emerging technologies for terrorist purposes, as well as to help leverage new and emerging technologies in the fight against terrorism. So far, more than 3 dozen countries from all over the world partner with the EU and received tailored capacity building assistance on policy development and application of law enforcement capabilities assessment. The recent examples cover applications of facial recognition technologies for CT purposes in full respect of human rights and the rule of law. CT Tech also developed knowledge products. This is a point that has been also highlighted by previous speakers on several topical themes, such as conducting terrorist threat assessments, the use of new technologies for terrorist purposes, law enforcement capabilities, frameworks for new technologies, encountering terrorism, and so on. We are also looking eagerly at the results of the fruitful work and discussion in the platform developed between Hedayah and the Global Internet Forum for Counter-Terrorism, aiming to ensure, and this is a point that is very close to our heart, that civil society and CV practitioners have access to appropriate training and tools to counter violent extremist propaganda online and to better prevent the spread of violent propaganda and to amplify the counter and alternative narratives to propaganda on digital platforms. Hedayah and GIFCT can work to reduce sympathy and support for violent extremist groups and encourage those vulnerable to consider alternative ways to express their grievances. The EU firmly believes that this work also needs to reflect the role of women and gender perspectives, as highlighted in the side event co-organized by the EU and the GCTF-inspired institutions in New York a few weeks ago during UNGA Week. documenting the benefits of putting women at the front line of CT and PCV efforts, and the potential of empowering women by involving them in decision-making processes. This applies also to this important work across all relevant digital platforms. We are also very happy to have partnered with Hedayah to develop a digital game, Game for Change, as a tool to prevent counter-extremism and strengthen community resilience, notably in North Macedonia. Game for Change allows for role-playing so that those that play see different perspectives and understand the threats and the consequences, with an idea to hedge those risks. This is really an innovative way of using technologies in digital games. If you think of young people, this is really, and the young generation in general, this is really an impactful way to accompany change. Looking at the panelists of this conference, I'm sure that you will enjoy a very in-depth discussion with a wide range of practitioners and really with vast and high caliber experience on this matter. I want to really close by wishing you a fruitful and lively discussion, bringing in the experience, the insights, and the different perspective across the various regions and environment, which is so important to bring together policymakers like ourselves that can really use and learn from this discussion. Thank you very much, and a very good discussion.